boys, are you ready to see who we've picked to finish the year? And neither of you have seen your picks, so this should be entertaining.
I'm pumped.
I'm pumped. There might be some
I sat down and
surprises.
did this whole thing. I was pumped.
You know what?
Look, I mean, I sent you a great pic. Look at this.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Is that handwritten? Is that handwritten, Bob?
Yes.
Handwritten. Yeah,
but not by you.
Do you have the?
I have the world's nicest handwriting.
Do you have the big? You have the big like jar of ink and the feathered pen in the office in there?
No, I'm a lefty, so I got to use the ones that don't. Being a lefty is a nightmare, man. So I got to use the quick dries.
You're a lefty. I don't think I ever knew that.
Yeah, southpaw.
Wow. Okay. Yes, Yorkie.
That's the way it's supposed to work, though. If you're a southpaw, you're supposed to shoot right-handed. That's why your hands are so good. That's why my hands suck. I can't stick handle because I'm just a shooter because it's my strong hands on the bottom of the stick.
True.
And my son tried to switch to right-handed when he was about 6 or 7.
No dice.
Couldn't get it. Couldn't figure it out. No.
I'm playing pickup hockey now Tuesday. My God, the puck is like a hot potato on my stick. It's just
what
I play tomorrow. I'm skating with Ryan Smith, Andy Sutton. We got a big group tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
Captain Canada.
Yep.
Ryan Smith.
Just around the corner too. Yeah, we got a good group.
My skate's a little different. I'm like with all retired guys that most of them never played hockey.
Oh yeah. No, we got a good pickup game here.
Yeah. All right.
Let's get, where are we starting with this, Wally?
Yorkie's going to start with his picks in the Pacific Division.
Okay. We got it up on the board here.
So the Pacific Division. Here's how it finished last year: with Vegas, and Edmonton, LA, Seattle. Seattle, that big surprise, if you will. All right. So Yorkie, this is your Pacific Division standings for this year.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I like Edmonton. I love what they did in the playoffs last year. They very easily could have beat Vegas. I think they're going to be hungry, and I'm not betting against Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. I think they're ready to take the next step. I still think Vegas is, they're good enough. They're experienced. They're going to be there. I kind of struggled with Seattle, but man, the way they play, they play like every guy on that team plays like his job and his life depends on it. They play so hard every night. Can they keep that up? I think they can. So I have them. Calgary, new coach. They better play well because they ran Daryl Sutter out of town. So it's on the players right now. So I like Calgary to be a wild card. Vancouver, the LA people might be a little surprised they don't have them in. Very well could have put them in, but I just think they're going to be close, but no cigar. I think San Jose is going to be awful, and I think Anaheim is so young. They're going to take their lumps again this year.
Okay. We now go to Bobby's 8.
There we go. Okay. Our first two are the same. I like Edmonton to win it outright because Vegas, they'll have a little hangover, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little slow out of the gates. We really differed on LA.
Yeah.
I like LA. I like that team, man. They got some offense with some young guys there. And they just play. Andrzej Kopitar's always got them running the right way. They just play a clean game. I put Seattle as the wild card for the exact reasons that you mentioned, Yorkie. And then I guess we don't even have to talk about 7, 6, 7, and 8.
No.
But Calgary, I just think kind of finds a way to miss this year. It's been too much turmoil the last little while, eh? Like
that's the thing, right? So what are the Calgary Flames, and what can they be good with a new coach and a new GM and all that, or is it flawed?
It's just not enough for me.
Because okay, so here are my 8 picks.
What about the LA trade though? Do you guys like the LA trade? Like they got rid of some pretty good young
Pierre-Luc
guys.
Dubois. I don't like it.
I don't like Dubois. I just think a little cancerous.
Yeah, you know what though? I'm thinking he got to a place where people aren't going to bother him at all. He's off the radar now, and he can be behind Kopitar and just play.
Yeah,
and Kopi will sit him down and say, "Shut up."
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's going to be good.
He was in Columbus, and he didn't want to play there, and then he didn't want to play. It didn't seem like he cared at all about being in Winnipeg. I just don't like his style of play.
Wally,
He's
you
got a
copied
big body.
my-
He doesn't use it. So we have almost our
you
last
copied
two.
my test.
Well, our last two are different. So I picked Anaheim to finish ahead of San Jose. Calgary is interesting to me. I almost put them ahead of Seattle because they're so good down the middle. Like Nazem Kadri is your third line center.
Yeah.
And if Jacob Markstrom can be anywhere good, they stand it like that's a pretty good D. I'm not surprised if Calgary doesn't finish ahead of Seattle.
Love their D. They got a great back end.
They do. Yeah.
And I was going to pick Vegas over Edmonton only because I can't get behind Edmonton's D. Any of it. Any of the way they play D. I just right down to Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell. I just don't like their goaltending. Anyway, that's just
yeah.
But I appreciate the hangover because that's a big part, right?
Yeah.
Although they seem to be very quiet this summer in their partying ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe because they party all year being on the strip in Vegas. They're just used to it.
Boys, this is nothing new.
Yeah.
Old. That's an old roster. That's an old roster. They were exhausted after that win. Most of those guys needed some sleep. Like,
maybe.
No,
that's why I don't like LA's roster. I find they're just older now.
Too old,
slow. And I can't cheer for Cam Talbot. Okay. I refuse.
Fair enough.
I'm bitter over last year. All right.
It's not his fault. Like, what are you blaming him for?
Well, because he came in and it wasn't very good.
Yeah, but shouldn't have traded for him.
Okay, but that's a whole other story. Okay, we're going into the Central.
I'm interested in this one, Yorkie. I want to see what you did here.
So this is where it's all there's some change. And I know Bobby's excited for one particular team, but is Colorado gonna how are they going to respond? So, Bob, you can start the Central Division choices.
Let's go.
I like it. All right. Before it gets up there's my list. And there's no rhyme or reason to the last, 5 through 8, I think could change. I don't know. I kind of like Chicago to maybe slide in, but not be a wild card team. I absolutely love Dallas. I love the way they're built. Think Jason Robertson's unbelievable. The goaltender is great. I like a lot about their team. Minnesota, I think this is the year they take a step. I think that when I say take a step, I don't know that they win around in playoffs, but I think that they take a very, very big step in the offense. I think Kaprizov has his best year in the NHL. I only slid Colorado down 1 because you can't take them too far down. They're just too good in the way they're built. So that's my top 3, and Winnipeg is a wild card for me. They are and they just signed Hellebuyck and Scheifele today to 8.5 each, identical contracts. So maybe there's a little bit of a bounce back in Winnipeg.
So how did you put Chicago at 5? Help me.
Because Arizona, St. Louis, and Nashville suck. No, all those teams. I mean, 5 through 8 could go anywhere except for probably 8. St. Louis, you know what? And I had it down, and I meant to do arrows on St. Louis. Like it should be Arizona and Nashville probably in the 7 seed, Chicago in 6, and St. Louis in 5. More likely, but I had fun doing this division, so I kind of wanted to take some flyers and change things up a little bit. And I think Connor Bedard and they got some offense surrounding him. They're going to be all right.
I think there's and maybe I'm wrong. I don't see him scoring 90 points. Do you know how hard that is?
No, I think he could be an 80-point guy, 75.
Yeah, it's possible depending on how well Taylor Hall plays, I guess.
True.
Who's his other winger?
Nick Foligno? I don't know.
No.
I'm trying to name guys.
I can't think off the top of my head. All right, here's my 8. And I agree with Bobby. Dallas, I think Matt Duchene may have a turnaround kind of bounce back.
Stop it.
I think
I could see that.
They just had to blow up Nashville in a way, right? And so they're starting over, and I don't know if they know who they are in the moment, but I have a tough time thinking Colorado's going to step that far back. So Winnipeg, I moved up even before today because I think the Blake Wheeler move was huge for this team. They needed to move some stuff out of that locker room, and especially, and I think Dubois was another one. I think with the change and probably a reinvigorated room, that group can finally start to move. And then Minnesota is interesting to me. It's a good team. They're just bland, Bobby.
Yeah.
Just and then Nashville. I think Arizona is actually going to surprise people.
I don't disagree with that. They could be good.
And St. Louis is in a rebuild. They just don't know it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's true. I don't know what they are, but anyway, and I just think Chicago is going to still struggle.
Yeah. All right. This was a wide open division for me, more so than some of the other ones. Yeah.
It's just an average division. Like they're all the same, anywhere from 3 to 8.
I agree.
See, and someone's going to be a surprise, right? Like that's why I think Arizona has got. I really like that Logan Cooley kid. I think they've really got some pieces there. Anyway, Yorkie, here's your 8.
Well, yeah, I think this division is exciting. Like you got 3 of the best teams in the NHL. I had a tough time with this: Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. And I don't know, Kaprizov. You said Minnesota's blah. Like that guy's a pretty exciting player. Like
one player. Tough. I'm not picking a team on one player unless it's Connor McDavid.
I don't know. He's the real deal. I like Minnesota, but I just look at Colorado. Jared Bednar still, to me, is one of the best coaches in the league. They've got Nate McKinnon. They got the best defenseman in hockey. I'm taking Colorado for those reasons. Dallas. Yep. I agree with Bob. They're going to take another step. I think all 3 of those teams are going to be over 100 points. They're the class of division. I did take Nashville, and the reason.
Because you had a good weekend last weekend. That's why.
Well, that might have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But hey, he's one of the best goalies in the NHL. Show me a good goalie, I'll show you a good team. He's one of the best.
Yeah.
And I think Andrew Burnett is going to come in there and invigorate that team and get them into the playoffs. I think they're a wild card team. Just watching Winnipeg play Ottawa, man, there's something with that team I don't like. Like, you look at Scheifele, and I've always liked him as a player, and I know this was just exhibition, but how much better did Tim Stützle compare when you compared him to Scheifele in that game? I'm like, holy cow, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like as far as talent goes. So I'm not.
Wait a sec. I didn't think we cared about the exhibition. Now we do.
I don't, but I'm like, man, like. One player is a superstar and one player, anyhow, I know it's only exhibition. I don't have Winnipeg in, even though I love Bonus as a coach. Arizona, man, what a mess there with that rink. Tournier's a good coach, and he's going to squeeze everything he can out of that group. But I don't see them being a playoff team. St. Louis, Wally, I agree, they're rebuilding, and Chicago is going to take their lumps. I just think it's, Bedard there is going to do well. I think he gets 35, but I think they finish last.
Okay, so I just want to read you why I don't like Minnesota, and it's their blue line. They lose Matt Dumba, right? So
yeah, their blue
Jonas Brodin, Brock Faber, Jacob Middleton, Alex Goligoski, John Merrill, and Kalen Addison.
Yeah,
it's just not good enough for me.
It's not deep. It's not a deep line. Yeah.
They're not flashy. They just move the puck.
That's the problem with Minnesota. Trying to decide what kind of team they are. They just go and do their work.
They play hard. Yep. They play hard, and they make it hard on the other team's D. And they're fast.
Yeah. All right. Moving to the Metropolitan division. So this is to me, this is it's an interesting one. I think the Atlantic is obviously more interesting, but where does Pittsburgh? What happens with them and the Rangers? I don't know what the Rangers are at the moment, but they're good. And the Islanders are the Minnesotas and Seattles of the division. They just play hard hockey, and they usually find a way to get in. So I believe I'm up first in the Metro division. So I went with New Jersey, Carolina. Although, just so we're clear, I think Carolina in the playoffs will be better than New Jersey. I just think in the regular season, New Jersey will have more success. The Rangers, because they just have a lot of talent. At some point, don't they have to figure it out? Pittsburgh, I'm into the Erik Karlsson and a rejuvenated Sidney Crosby might turn that ship around. The Islanders, I still pick them to make the playoffs. Washington, Philly, and Columbus, because Columbus is a proverbial mess, and I just think Philly's going to be a little bit less messier.
Fair enough. Fair enough at the 7 and 8 seed.
I think Yorkie.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like their yeah. I tend to agree with a lot of that.
Like the Islanders have a really Ilya Sorokin is really, really good.
Yeah,
but is their team going to be better? They do have a really good roster. So I'm just not sure. It could be by points, right? They could be 1 or 2 points separating Pittsburgh and the Islanders.
Yeah.
Yorkie, it's up to you next.
We're pretty similar, Wally.
I know.
Although the only difference was I really like Carolina this year. I think they're going to take another big step, and they're going to learn how to score in the playoffs. I had Carolina at 1. I think Rod Brindamore, arguably the best coach in the game, and their blue line is sick. Like, that is the best blue line in the NHL right now. Look at those guys. There's not a weak guy back there. Jersey's going to be good in the regular season. Same with the Rangers. They've got regular season specialists on that team. DJ Zebad, the bread man. Like, those guys know how to get it done on the power play. Go off to the bar after the red carpet. It's all good. Regular season specialists. Pittsburgh, I had them in 4. I just don't see how they miss with all that talent. Crosby's going to be fired up. I think Carlson's going to have another good year. So they're going to be my wild card team. And I struggled with the Islanders because I'm with you guys. They play hard. I had them originally in, but I flopped them out. Washington, I think they miss. Philly and Columbus, pick your poison. Yeah, I just put Columbus last because I think they're a lazy hockey team. Like, I watched them play last year, man. They cheat the game. They cheat the game better than any team I see in the league. Hopefully they fix that because, man, they were bad last year.
Yeah.
And Bob?
All right. So my top 3 are all of our top 3s are the same. Obviously, I just moved to New Jersey. New Jersey looks dangerous. Carolina, how many years in a row do people have to say, I'm in on Carolina? This is their year. I'm so sick of doing that. 1 and 2, I think, could go either way. I really do. Where did I put? I think they could. I don't know. I like New Jersey. Pittsburgh, I think, slides in. They're veterans. They know that they're going to have to go through their own division no matter what. So I don't think they're worried about sliding in the top 2 or 3. They're going to make a wild card spot. Our bottom 3s were all the same. I just think Philadelphia is a little more messy than Columbus, although you are right, Yorkie. Columbus cheats the game better than any team I've ever seen. Washington's just on the Alex Ovechkin goal scoring thing now. Yes. That's kind of what they've become. I struggled with the Islanders here. I just think they're getting a little older and slower every year. I know they play a tight system. I don't love them. So I kept them out of the playoffs. The only team making that wild card spot would be Pittsburgh for me.
Okay, but just their top 6 is Barzal, Bo Horvat, Simon Holmstrom, Pierre Engvall, Brock Nelson, Kyle Palmieri, Anders Lee, John Gabriel Pajot, Oliver Wahlstrom's their 3rd line. And of course, they have that 4th line that never seems to age with Matt Martin, Casey Cizikas, Cal Clutterbuck. I think they have a really good team.
Grindy.
Yeah. I think they missed the window.
Maybe. You might be right. And maybe I'm thinking it's the team from 3 years ago.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they do get in and Pittsburgh misses? Like who's getting shit canned in Pittsburgh? Like,
nobody. Everybody loves everybody now.
You can't miss the playoffs if you're Pittsburgh with the moves you've made.
No,
you can't. It's non-negotiable.
Maybe. All right, and finally, the Atlantic. And our resident smartest man in hockey gets to kick things off. But there's a lot of change coming with the Atlantic, I think. This is the interesting one, right? Boston with all the change, and Andrei Vasilevsky in Tampa. What happens? Buffalo, they just signed Rasmus Dahlin to a monster deal. Are they ready to take a step? So, Yorkie, here you go.
Yeah, there we go. And so I had Boston out originally. Man, they've had so much change, but I ended up putting them back in, and I took Florida out. This was tough, but Toronto, we all know Toronto in the regular season is fantastic. They got all that talent.
They're the Rangers.
Whatever you call it. Well, it's the same thing. There is something like when you play in Toronto, you are routinely told how good you are, how great you are. And then you get to the playoffs and the pressure changes. But that's a whole other story. Regular season, they're finishing first.
And that's just by the media, Yorkie.
I know. But I've got no doubt. I don't see them taking a step back. I think they have a great regular season. Tampa, I know Vasilevsky's out. But I just think that lineup's still really dangerous. And I have Ottawa. Not as a wild card, but finishing third in the division. The defense, the goaltending, Brady Tkachuk leading the way. I think he's going to drag this team into a third position in the division. And Timmy Stützle, even if Norris doesn't start the season, I think Stützle is just going to, like we said earlier, I think he's going to have rockets on his skates to start the season off. So I got Ottawa in the 3 spot. I think Florida misses that. That playoff took a lot out of a lot of those guys, and a lot of things went right for that team in the playoffs. They got outplayed many nights, and Bobrovsky stole a lot of games. I think that team's not as good as they showed in the playoffs, so I think they miss. Talk about cheating the game. I think Buffalo cheats the game pretty good too. They're always cheating for offense. I know they got a lot of it. I know people are hot on Buffalo, but I don't like them defensively. Detroit's rebuilding. And so is Montreal. Montreal's in for another long season and a high draft pick.
I believe, Bobby, you're next. Yeah.
Okay, so again, I don't even need to say much. I think Toronto's coming away with the division. I think they
I don't know how you get Boston at 2. I can't understand this.
I love their defense. I love
Goalies
their
are good.
goaltending. Goalies are good. And Monty's a hell of a coach. They're just a good team. I thought differently about this because of the Vasilevsky thing. If Vasilevsky's not playing, then I got Boston as a wild card team. But 10 weeks without him is a long time. So that puts them behind the 8 ball in the division. But when you look at 5, 6, 7, and 8, looks like Yorkie and I see eye to eye almost. Yeah, down to the exact team order the rest of the way. The top 4 and the bottom 4, to me, there's just a major separation between where the organizations are. And Florida obviously made the run, but I would agree with what Yorkie said. They got away with a lot in the run. So Ottawa, to me, takes the 3rd place. Tampa slides into the wild card 1, so you get Toronto, Tampa again in round 1 of the playoffs, and
with Vasilevsky.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, Boston's just a steady Eddie team. They're going to find a way to be in that 2nd place. I had Ottawa at 2 at one point. I took them down 1, but I had Ottawa at 2.
The Boston's middle of the ice at the moment is.
I don't care.
How can you win?
Hey, yeah, Monty's a hell of a coach. I'm with Bob on that one. That guy, his attention to detail. I went to one of his seminars once when he talked about the little things, and that's what people don't understand about winning in the NHL. Coaches that demand the little things of their players squeak out those 1-goal games. And I don't know. I'm with you on that, but I love Monty as a coach.
Yeah, I think he gets them prepared every night, and they're going to be just fine.
That may be, but he's not playing on the ice. And they don't have much that is, as far as I'm concerned, down the middle of the ice. In fact, Gavin, throw out my list. I would have taken Boston out of the playoffs. Oh, in fact, I did.
Detroit, are you on crack?
So you haven't
that is worse than Boston being 2nd, having Detroit in 4th.
No, I think Boston to me will take the dip. I think that Tampa, I don't even know why. I wanted Ottawa in 2nd, but because of the Pinto and Norris situation, I don't think they can be there.
Explain yourself on Detroit.
I think Detroit's a lot better than you think they are. And that's why I believe that their blue line and their Ville Husso's goaltender wasn't so bad. I think they might be all right. I just think there's a surprise coming. That's why they're there. At some point, the Boston Bruins are going to miss the playoffs. And I think it could very well be this year with what they have on the ice at the moment.
You got Detroit ahead of the Sabres.
Well, like you said, the Sabres cheat the game. They have, if their only reason is they're counting on Devin Levi as a rookie to lead that team. Yeah. I just don't see that happening. I hope he has a great year.
They'll still cheat the game and beat Detroit, though.
They have a good blue line.
Win that game.
Like Owen Power, Rasmus Dahlin, they have a good blue line. But I don't think it's good enough. I'm concerned about perhaps their goaltending. That's why. And Florida's a fraud to me.
So you have Detroit. Is Detroit a wild card?
No, Detroit's not in.
Yeah, both his
They're not
wild
in.
cards were in Atlanta,
Okay.
Metro, which I could very well see. I could agree with you on Wally. That I wouldn't be surprised if your picks on the wild cards were more accurate.
Yeah. I just the Atlantic is interesting to me because Ottawa, Detroit, Boston, Buffalo could all flip any which way to me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You could see Ottawa out. You could see Ottawa out, Wally.
Well, yeah. Well, they've lost the playoffs. It lost in 6 straight years. They haven't made the playoffs. Like, there's nothing guaranteeing them a playoff spot.
Yeah.
They used 7 goalies last year.
That's why they missed. That's why they missed.
I know. So nobody knows what's going to happen in the year. If they stay the way they could be second if they played as well as they can. But they've got to be healthy.
You just made the case why they're going to make the playoffs. They used 7 goalies last year. This year they've got 2.
They only wanted to use 2 last year too, Yorkie.
Well,
that was the start.
It would have been ideal.
If they get injured, of course they're going to be in trouble. But
exactly. You don't. But something is going to happen. That's the point.
Okay, you're predicting chaos.
There's always chaos.
There is always the chaos.
There's always chaos. Something. That's the problem with the league being so robotic and equal. I can't even think of the word at the moment. That if anything happens to a particular team, you can find yourself out quick.
Parity.
That's right. Gary Bettman's favorite word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, did anybody pick the Seattle Kraken to be as good as they were last year? No.
Didn't see it.
Exactly. All right. So we're moving on. We got to pick our Stanley Cup winner. This will probably upset everybody. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. Yorkie, you've picked Carolina, and we have picked Dallas to win the Stanley Cup. Although Bobby's the worst of them all because he took the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Cup final.
Love it.
I know.
Now we all hate you.
I know. I didn't want to do it, but I was doing the roadmap of that, and I just, man, I was thinking about Toronto. If it lines up the way I think it lines up, and Toronto knocks out Tampa and Ottawa upsets Boston, you got an Ottawa-Toronto series, and I might be on TV at every game in that one. I would absolutely love to see that series, but Toronto's got the best offense. And they're going to find a way. They've made a big jump last year, finally winning a round. I think that mental hurdle is out of the way. And I think that they realize that they're a better team than where they've been. I think they're going to be good, but to me, Dallas is the team to beat this year, and I think they come home with the cup.
Yorkie?
Yeah, I'm gonna die on that Carolina Hurricanes. Brave here. The blue line. I look at what wins on the playoffs. I love that blue line, and they've got Svechnikov. Last year they didn't have a healthy Svechnikov. He's their best goal scorer. He's healthy. I think they're deep, and I think they're extremely well coached. And man, I just remember Brindamore after they lost that series. He couldn't speak. They dominated that series and lost. So I think it's their year. I love what they've done in the offseason. Brett Burns, Jacob Slavin. They brought in Orlov. Their blue line is outstanding. So I like Carolina to win. I thought it was a pick 'em in the West. I just went with Colorado. It very easily could be Dallas.
Yeah.
But I just picked Carolina. I'm a big Jared Bednar fan. I like what he does there.
It could be Dallas, Edmonton, or Vegas,
Right.
Like,
it could be. It's so good. And so I went with Carolina to win the Stanley Cup just because of I love their defense, and I think Rod Brindamore is a hell of a coach.
Freddie Anderson worries me.
Yeah. I used to be like that, guys, with you got to have a goalie. You got to have the goalie.
Yeah.
I'm looking like Vegas won with their third string guy last year.
Yeah.
Like that position has changed it for me. Like the goalie just has to play well at the right time. And Freddie Anderson's in the perfect market for him. Certain guys can't play in a Canadian market because it eats them up with all the pressure. He can leave the rink every day in Carolina and nobody knows who he is. So he can go home and recharge the batteries and get ready for the next game.